It's live on Energy 101. Let's get back to our earlier story where the Institute for Energy Policies and Research last week said it has seen a letter by Hans & Co. to Petroleum Commission on the 15th of June 2022 complaining about the delay to the start of Phase 2 of the decommissioning project. According to a letter signed by its Executive Director, Kojo Poku, a looming environmental disaster offshore Ghana is imminent as a 65-year-old rig, Mr. Louis, is severely pitted and rusted and needed decommissioning immediately. Well, Mr. Kojo Poku has joined us via Zoom to respond to some of the concerns or the explanation of the GNPC in its letter, which was released last week. And Kojo, good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, and it's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you, my brother. Happy New Week.
Right. So the GNPC has also come out with, its own response to your concerns or to your allegations, so to speak, at this time. I believe you have a copy of that release. What do you think about it?
We have a copy, and for me, it's a bit unfortunate. I think when we, the civil society, put some of these things out there, we only show concern and we only seem to bring the public attention to some of the things that are happening in some of our state-owned enterprises. But if you look at the letter that came from GNPC, it seeks to say that we have published falsehood and we should try and retract and apologize. And I think that part of the letter was a bit unfortunate.
Right. So let's look at the first point that the GNPC is making. It says, following the inspection of the equipment to be utilized in the decommissioning exercise in Nigeria, no definite date for the kickoff meeting was set. However, dates were proposed pending the team meeting all the statutory approvals. GNPC has been working with the contractor to meet certain regulatory requirements necessary to prove the contractor's capacity and readiness to execute the decommissioning of the field. Now, Kojo, you would agree with me that decommissioning in itself has never been carried out in the country. This is going to be the first time. And so you don't think that, the necessary steps, the due diligence should be completed and time given it so that we do it successfully and not go back to it again in any way?
Okay, so what you said is 100% right. Even in the whole of West Africa, there has never been a decommissioning in the whole of West Africa. You can count on one hand how many decommissioning has happened in the whole of Africa. Now, at this stage where GNPC wrote the letter last week talking about assessing capacity and all that due diligence, it's a bit like trying to learn how to swim where you're already in the middle of the ocean. This company that won the tender went through a tender process. There was a process where they were assessed and they were adjudged the winner of an international tender. They were given a letter, an award letter in September last year, and in January this year, they were given a contract. So some of us will have assumed that there has been enough due diligence done on their capacity. Now, what you would like to also know is that in terms of the documentation, which is the approval of permits, statutory permits, and all those things, it's not the responsibility of the contractor, which is Hans & Co. Under the decommissioning contract, as is been awarded, Hans & Co. and the consortium are subcontractors. The main contractor for the work is GNPC. So when you look at the letter to all the statutory bodies, it's GNPC that writes. Now, when somebody comes out to tell us that the delay is because they are assessing or the capacity and also going through statutory obligations, when the statutory obligation is the responsibility of the very person who is saying that he is assessing someone else, to apply to GNPC is not the responsibility of Hans & Co. It's the responsibility of GNPC. To apply to EPA is the responsibility of GNPC, not Hans & Co. and their consortium. So for me, it's a bit unfortunate. But at the right time, we are gathering all the information that we have, and sometime next week, we'll actually put an appropriate response to the GNPC letter.
Now, so what allegations have you also been making against, the CEO in this matter? Because before he assumes authority as CEO, he was in a technical position at the GNPC. You think he didn't also do, or he hasn't done much in this regard?
Well, I can say authoritatively that the letter to EPA, when he became the CEO, there was a letter that was supposed to be signed to EPA. He did not sign that letter, and he traveled. And it wasn't until when all these things came back up that he now signed the letter to EPA. There is quite a number of things that he was supposed to do that he didn't do, that he left and traveled. Now, the concern that we raised, it was not an allegation. We don't make allegations. We raise concerns. What we are saying is that, look, if you award a contract to somebody in January, and you've paid that person some money, which is about $5 million, and that person has, as a result of the contract you've given him, and then the payment that you paid for the initial work done, they have also gone and made some payments and given contract to some people. Now, if you know how rigs work, every rig has a window within which is available. If you don't use the window within that window, if you don't use the rig within that window, that rig is no longer available. So if we want to do this decommissioning, the decommissioning is to happen within 1 year, which is from January till January 2023. Already, we've done 6 months within 2022 without using the rig which we've committed to. If this rig, the owners of the rig say that, look, because you guys have wasted our time, that rig is no longer available, then you have to wait whenever, maybe 2024 or 2025, when there's a rig available. That will be the least of your problem. If the owner of the rig, where Hans & Co has also committed to them, says that, look, because you guys have booked us and you couldn't use us or you delayed us, we are going to sue you for monies that we have otherwise incurred. That's judgment debt, okay? Because in terms of that judgment debt, it will be that they will not have done any work, but they will sue you for wasting their time, and the court will award them the costs. So we are saying that we might end up having a scenario where the Mr. Louis rig will still be sitting there, and government through GNPC would have paid money for just wasting people's time. Meanwhile, you've given a legitimate contract. So it's a concern that we raised. It wasn't an allegation. All that we said was that nothing has happened between January and now. The only difference is that Dr. Keke Sapon left and a new managing director came in. And we know on authority that there were letters that he was supposed to sign before he traveled, and he didn't sign them. So who is causing the delay? It's him. Right.
So you, so to speak, you are not, satisfied with the response of the GNPC in this scenario?
No, not at all. And like I said, next week, if you read our release very well, what the Institute said was that we have still not been able to put our hands on why the delay. But with the events unfolding, if you read the Edward Bauer statement, Edward Bauer, the member of Parliament, who is the member of the Energy Subcommittee for the NDC, have also come out to raise certain concerns about a project management committee. And we are beginning to pick up information that project management, the appointment of the project management committee is what is indeed causing the delay of the decommissioning. We are still putting documentation together, and next week we will release a response to the GNPC letter.
Right. Thank you very much. Kojo Puku is Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Policies and Research. Kojo, don't go away yet, because we have another interesting discussion with regards to the bailout package on energy, and I would sincerely require your thoughts on this. And now, last week, the president ordered the finance minister to, as it were, commence engagements with the International Monetary Fund that could lead to a bailout program. Now, Goldman Sachs Group, a leading global financial institution, says it does not expect the International Monetary Fund to demand debt restructuring as a precondition of Ghana's 17th program with the fund. Goldman Sachs says it expects any conditionality to focus on credible fiscal consolidation efforts, as well as addressing contingent liabilities, notably in the energy sector. Well, it's important to consider energy